Greetings. So today I would like to go through the guidance for the Home Office in regards to relationship with a partner. So if you go to Google, if you go online, if you go on the internet and you just tap in gov.uk, Home Office guidance, relationship with a partner, you will see this come up on your screens. It's just general guidance for the caseworkers that work in the Home Office when they're assessing whether or not to issue a visa for a spouse of a partner. I'm just going to go through a few of the chapters with you, not all of them, but like I said, if you just go to Google, you type in gov.uk, spouse visa, guidance for relationship with partner, it will all come up. And this is the guidance for caseworkers assessing applications for spouse visas, etc. So this is version 5.0. It was initially published on the 20th of June 2022, and as you can see, it has had several updates, the last one being the 4th of April 2024. So when you do look up information online on verified sites, do make sure you are looking at the most recent publication. Who is a partner? This would be a spouse, a civil partner, unmarried partner, etc. And where it's titled Who is a Partner, we have a summary where it says where the couple have been in a relationship similar to marriage or civil partnership for at least 2 years. This is what a partner is. As you can also see in the notes, it does actually state that there is no requirement for the parties to have lived together for the 2 years preceding the application. So, if you are in a relationship which is not a married relationship or civil partnership, there is no actual requirement for you to be living together for 2 years prior to the application. The burden and the standard of proof is placed on the applicant in order to prove that they are in a genuine relationship. The caseworker is directed to request for further information in order to clarify or to confirm the information that's been submitted. So at any time, the caseworker can request more information. This next section is in regards to evidence, and the caseworker is actually directed to consider all evidence in the round, meaning not all evidence carries the same amount of weight. So this is a chart I've taken from the same guidance documents, and what it tells us is official and verifiable evidence carries the most weight. It then says statements without supporting evidence has less weight. And there's also a note here saying photographic, WhatsApp, social media and email evidence can be falsified and difficult to verify. So it also carries weight, but not as much as verified items. So that's something to remember when you submit your application. Obviously, it's not saying it doesn't carry any weight, but it's probably directing the caseworker to ensure that all the evidence that's been submitted is a healthy balance of both verified and non-verifiable. So the next topic will be proxy marriages. The UK does actually recognise a proxy marriage as long as it's conducted in a country where it is legal. So for example, I'm Ghanaian, I was born in Ghana. If myself and my husband were to have a proxy marriage in Ghana, it would be recognised. The proxy marriage would then be validated by a marriage certificate, which you can receive from the same registry office in Ghana or wherever else. And so although proxy marriages aren't recognised, aren't valid in the UK will recognise a proxy marriage held in a country where it is legal. For those of you who may not know, a proxy marriage is where you're not at the wedding in person, but you may have family or friends that can stand in your place for the ceremony. So that is a proxy marriage. For my traditional wedding, actually, we did it by proxy. So we weren't actually in Ghana for our traditional wedding, but we had family that stood in our place. So in the caseworker guidance, it does also say that if there is no marriage certificate or civil partnership certificate, this is not grounds of refusal. So as long as the relationship can be proved to be durable, the application still can be successful. So not having a marriage certificate, not having a civil partnership certificate is not grounds for refusal, as long as the relationship can be proved by different types of evidence. Also, the caseworker is directed to perhaps contact the couple for further information or clarification. So not having a marriage certificate, not having a civil partnership certificate is not grounds for refusal, as the relationship can be proved in other ways. There is also a requirement that the couple should not be so closely related that they would have been unable to be married in the UK. What this means is the couple that are making the application should not be too closely related to one another. So they may be related, but there is a list of family connections that's prohibited to be considered for the visa. I'll put the list up. It's also in the guidance, obviously, but this is the list of family that you are actually prohibited from being married to as part of the application. In regards to the siblings, I believe step siblings are acceptable and half siblings aren't. There is no evidence required in this scenario. However, you will need to sign a statement confirming the fact that you are not related. Another requirement is the fact that any previous relationships should have been broken down completely. This should be through death, divorce, dissolution, or separation. What's interesting in the guidance for the caseworkers is that they are asked to be culturally aware and understand in some countries it's very difficult to obtain a divorce. In some countries it would be impossible to obtain a divorce. So therefore the caseworker is encouraged to research the different countries and find out what the laws are about divorce and how easy or how difficult it is to obtain one, because by being culturally aware they would be a lot more understanding. So there is that cultural awareness, that cultural understanding that there may be reasons why previous relationships are under separation and not divorce. So if you live in a country where it's nearly impossible, unless it's very difficult for you to obtain a divorce, they have made allowances in that, and they will research your country and its laws and how easy or difficult it is for you to be divorced from a previous relationship if you haven't been able to do so. So that's just a cultural awareness that's promoted within the guidance also. In the instance of divorce, obviously a certificate is enough, is appropriate. A death certificate. If not divorce, if there is no certificate of divorce, there can be sales of joint land, sale of joint homes, sale of joint possessions and assets. That in itself can be put forward as evidence. An interesting turn is, in being culturally aware, caseworkers are also advised on polygamous and polyandrous relationships. So polygamous is obviously a spouse with more than one partner, more than one married partner. Polyandrous, I'm saying it wrong, I'm really sorry, it's a new word that I learnt today. Polyandrous is a woman that's married to more than one man, and it's apparently it's labelled fraternal if she's married to brothers, and in some countries in the world this is a tradition. This is something that's done to keep the wealth, to keep the legacy, and to keep the inheritance within a family. So like me, today may have been the first time you've heard of it, but it does happen, and the caseworkers are told to be sensitive to cultural differences where a spouse may have more than one husband, wife. So there's guidance there in regards to that situation. So if that's your situation, be aware that it is being it can be taken into account, the fact that you have more than one spouse. Okay, so you may be asked for more information to clarify or to confirm, but that's another side to spouse visas. If it is legal in your country to have more than one spouse, the caseworker is advised to research the country and the laws to find out whether it's legal or not. If it is legal, you should have a certificate. However many of you there are in the relationship, there should be certificates issued if it's legal, and you can submit those. If it isn't legal and you have been in a durable, genuine relationship with more than one partner, as long as that can be proven as well, that can also be submitted. The caseworker may reach out for more information to clarify and to confirm different aspects, but thankfully the Home Office is culturally aware enough to understand that not everybody is a one spouse, one partner scenario. So yeah. There is also the requirement for the couple to have met in person, and this would be the case even if it was a proxy marriage. So there is a requirement to have met in person, whether it's a proxy marriage or not. So like myself, my traditional was done by proxy. We weren't present for the traditional marriage, however we were together physically. So whether it's proxy or not, one of the requirements is that you have met in person. If as a couple you're not married or in a civil partnership, you can still submit evidence to show that you're in a durable and genuine relationship. You will need to show ongoing commitment to one another. This may be financially, it may be correspondence, it may be shared assets, or it may be pictures, different types of things that is able to show that you are in a genuine relationship. Also as well, the relationship must be for at least 2 years prior to the application. It's not a requirement for the couple to have lived together for 2 years, because obviously for some people, for cultural or religious reasons, it's forbidden to live together. And again, the guidance does recommend that the caseworker understands that the scenario of living together, cohabiting, is not the same for every couple, and in some cultures is actually forbidden. Each case is considered on an individual basis, and so clearly not all assessments will be the same. Each case should take into account all the relevant factors. If there is any further information needed, any clarification, the caseworker should reach out to the couple to provide the information, or they can research themselves, or they can speak to their manager. All these things are in the guidance. So after the visa is successful, any time afterwards to renew the visa, there may be some requirements, as in to prove that you're still earning a particular wage, or you're still staying at the same address. Obviously, there may be a situation where you're staying in different addresses, and according to the guidance, clearly there is allowances made for perhaps people living separately due to work or studying, or perhaps staying in family, or maybe a new baby staying with mum. So there are allowances made for people that might be living separately when they go to renew the visa. However, do check what the requirements are for renewing the spouse visa after you're successful. There is also a portion in the guidance which talks about direct checks. In order to ensure that the married couple are still together. They've actually removed that section from the guidance on the internet, so we can't actually see how they go about doing those direct checks. So that's just a rough overview of the guidance. But again, I would recommend you, if you are perhaps you have plans to make a spouse visa application, I would recommend that you go through this guidance that's being provided to caseworkers at the Home Office when assessing to issue the visa or not. It's just very interesting to see in which ways they're being guided to make their decisions. And I didn't see this beforehand, but if I had, it would have been even more helpful. Even though we were fine, we were successful. We had a result within less than 7 weeks. Actually, just under 7 weeks, we were fine. But if I had to do the whole thing again, I would actually have gone through this guidance with a fine-tooth comb, because it would have given me more confidence. And potentially, if our application had failed, then I would have been confident in going to the appeal with this type of information. So just having the knowledge and just having the information of the guidance that's being provided to the caseworkers is really helpful. I'm also surprised at how culturally aware they've been asked to be. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah, it's a nice surprise to see that they've been asked to be so culturally aware. That's quite encouraging. There is also potential for people to be asked to attend an interview, which is just to ask for more information, just to clarify a few things. We were not interviewed, but I know of couples that have been requested to be that have been required to go through an interview. So each person's application can be totally different. So just keep that in mind also. When it comes to the durable relationship as well, as we all know, the financial threshold requirement has gone up. So therefore, if you're not able to fly over and see your partner as much as you plan to, or you're not able to send over as much money as you wanted to, they will need to take all that into account, because they have raised the threshold. So therefore, it's not going to be possible to be flying to see your partner every other month in another country. It's not going to be possible to send them as much money as you previously were, due to having to make more money. And what we used to do is that I would just send on a regular basis, just a certain amount of money on a regular basis. They don't actually look at the amount you send to your partner. They don't care about the amount. They just want to see that that connection is there, that you do actually send money to them. So that's all the guidance. I wish you all the best in those that do have an application pending. If you have any questions, or if you'd like me to clarify anything in the video, feel free to reach out, feel free to contact me. I'm not an immigration advisor, so make sure that you do your own research. Speak to an official immigration advisor for advice, for support, for help, and all the best, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you. Bye.